Hello, and welcome to Team 11's video production on operating systems. In this video, Team 11 will provide you with general information about operating systems, including a brief history lesson and a look into the future of operating systems. Team 11 is made up of the project and research manager, Mindy McGill, director and communication manager, Mario Amaro, graphic artist and video editor, Max Wendelken, and script writer and editor, Nick Hester.
The operating system is the most essential piece of software that a computer has. Just about every piece of equipment with a computer processor correlates with an operating system. The operating system was created to easily create tasks between the user, application, and hardware. It makes it easier to input and output information by managing the hardware and software resources to provide common services to computer programs.
The very first computers were mechanical or had hard-wired operating instructions and programs ran directly on them after being loaded from punch cards or tapes. As computer technology evolved, the concept of an operating system that existed separately from the computer's hardware emerged. The first operating system, or OS, that could be used for real work was GM-NAA-IO, produced by General Motors in 1956. In 1964, IBM introduced the System 360 mainframe computer line, which used a unified OS named OS 360. ZVSE, also produced by IBM, is one of the few mainframe OSs that is still used today. Digital Equipment Corporation created several operating systems for their 16-bit PDP-11 minicomputers. The more famous of these minicomputer OSs, however, was Linux. In the late 1960s, the Unix operating system was created at AT&T Bell Laboratories. Since it was pretty much free in its early editions, readily available and easy to modify, it rapidly achieved mass acceptance. It remains popular to this day, especially after the introduction of the Linux operating system in 1991. Early microcomputers had basic input and output devices. They started out as kit-based hobbyist computers like the Apple II, the Altair, and the IMSAI, but soon developed into the machines we know today. In 1984, Apple Computer released their Mac OS as part of Macintosh computers. It lagged behind MS-DOS in sales, but was considered technologically superior, due to it being the first ever operating system to come equipped with a GUI, or graphical user interface. In 1985, Microsoft began work on their Windows operating system as a response to the Mac OS. By 1991, Windows had improved to the point where most began to switch over to that operating system.
So how does an operating system work? First, we'll start off with how it's loaded into your computer. The operating system starts automatically when a computer is turned on with the booting process that is loaded into the ROM. Once the booting process is started from the ROM, the instructions from the booting process will load the operating system from the hard disk to the system memory or RAM. Once that process is complete, the operating system then allows the users to start creating tasks between applications and hardware. In the beginning, operating systems were set with fixed instructions for a computer to do its job. Then the creation of the command line prompt allowed the user to type and tell a computer what to do. But you had to be specific in the directory and the command that you wanted for the command line prompt to work. From that came the creation of the graphic user interface system, or the GUI system, which allowed the user to use a mouse or a keyboard to click on an image for an application to open. And even now, with more modern computers, we are now allowed to use touchscreens and our voice to tell a computer what to do. When an application is loaded, the operating system then puts part of the application into RAM. It supports multitasking, which allows a user to execute multiple applications. And when there is no more room in RAM, then the operating system will create virtual memory to compensate. The OS is always on when the computer is on. It allows applications to run in the background, such as the File Explorer or the Security Update utility, without the user noticing it. Background applications can take up computer resources, but may be essential to the system. The OS also maintains the file system and keeps track of the location on the hard drive of all programs and data files. It is also responsible for the authentication so that only the computer knows who is allowed to configure any files. The OS also allows all input and output devices from different manufacturers to work on most machines by installing device drivers in the filing system. It allows us to use different input-output devices with multiple applications. The two important issues surrounding the use of an operating system are performance and reliability. So what's the future for the operating system? We decided to get professional advice from software engineer and product developer Seyi Verma.
5 years out, things that are changing in the workplace, for example, is cloud-based operating systems, right? Which I think is going to be more prevalent moving forward, primarily because management of hardware minimizes. You no longer have to have hardware everywhere. With the operating system and all the apps that reside in the cloud, you can work on the go anytime, anywhere, and you have access to all your information all the time. So I think WebOS or cloud or operating systems in the cloud, WebOS is also known as operating systems in the cloud, that is probably going to start becoming more prevalent, especially in the workplace, when where people are now becoming more comfortable to the idea of adopting cloud technologies, because the securities are enhanced, the privacy things people are managing through all that. So people are getting less conscious of all these things now because things have really, really improved in that space. And then with the virtualization space happening or coming out with VMware, you can practically do whatever you want from any web application. So yeah, I think WebOS or cloud operating systems is the next wave, apart from just operating systems on desktops.
We from Team 11 thank you for your time. Go Lions.